Africa is undergoing a significant shift in its international relationships, with China emerging as a dominant player on the continent. Over the past few decades, China's influence in Africa has grown rapidly, surpassing that of many traditional Western powers. This transformation is evident in various spheres, from economic investments to diplomatic engagements. Unlike Western nations, which often tie their support to political conditions or democratic reforms, China offers a different model of cooperation. Today, we'll explore the key reasons behind the growing preference of African leaders for China over the West. China's footprint in Africa is most visible through its substantial infrastructure investments. From constructing highways and railways to building airports and ports, China has funded numerous large-scale projects across the continent. These investments are often part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, designed to enhance global trade routes and economic integration. In comparison, Western investments in Africa, though significant, tend to focus more on smaller-scale projects and are often accompanied by stricter conditions related to governance and transparency. China's approach not only delivers immediate infrastructure improvements, but also promises long-term economic growth and development for African nations. Trade relations between China and African countries have flourished in recent years. China has become Africa's largest trading partner, with a growing volume of trade that includes everything from raw materials to manufactured goods. Trade agreements between China and various African nations often feature favorable terms that benefit both sides. For instance, China's willingness to import African commodities and provide markets for local products contrasts with Western trade policies that sometimes impose tariffs or quotas. This mutually beneficial trade dynamic has bolstered Africa's economies and provided a crucial boost to many local industries. China's approach to debt diplomacy is another critical factor in its growing influence. Chinese loans are typically less conditional than those offered by Western institutions, which often come with stringent demands for political reforms or anti-corruption measures. While this leniency can be seen as a way to ensure that African nations can manage their debt burdens more effectively, it also raises concerns about long-term financial stability and dependency. In contrast, Western loans often come with more rigorous conditions that aim to promote governance improvements, but can sometimes delay or complicate the disbursement of funds. Development projects funded by China have had a profound impact on various African communities. Examples include the construction of new roads, schools, and hospitals, which have significantly contributed to improving infrastructure and public services. These projects are often completed quickly and efficiently, thanks to China's streamlined approach. On the other hand, Western development aid, while substantial, sometimes encounters delays and bureaucratic hurdles, which can limit its effectiveness and reach. The swift implementation and tangible results of Chinese development projects have made them particularly attractive to African leaders seeking rapid progress. One of the most appealing aspects of China's engagement with Africa is its principle of non-interference in domestic affairs. Unlike Western countries, which frequently condition their aid and investments on political or economic reforms, China respects the sovereignty of African nations and refrains from dictating their internal policies. This non-interference stance allows African leaders to pursue their development agendas without external pressures, fostering a more collaborative and respectful partnership. In contrast, Western policies often come with strings attached, which can complicate relationships and limit the flexibility of African governments in shaping their own futures. China has consistently demonstrated its commitment to supporting African nations in international forums, often aligning itself with African countries on global issues. This support is evident in China's stance on matters such as climate change negotiations and UN resolutions, where African interests are at stake. By backing African positions, China helps these countries gain more influence on the global stage. In contrast, Western countries, while also providing support, sometimes do so with conditions that can limit the extent of their backing. Western support is often tied to political or economic reforms, which can dilute the effectiveness of their aid and influence. China has made significant strides in transferring technology and skills to African nations, playing a crucial role in helping these countries develop their own technological capabilities. Chinese firms have established numerous technology hubs and training programs across Africa, focusing on sectors such as telecommunications and renewable energy. These initiatives not only provide advanced technology, but also offer training and knowledge transfer to local professionals. Western technology transfer programs, while often well-funded, can be more restrictive and less tailored to the specific needs of African countries. They may involve higher costs and more bureaucratic hurdles, which can limit their accessibility and impact. Military cooperation between China and African countries has been growing, with China providing military aid, training, and equipment to various African nations. This cooperation includes the supply of military hardware and support in peacekeeping missions. China's approach is generally more pragmatic, focusing on practical needs and immediate benefits for African countries. In contrast, Western military assistance often comes with a focus on promoting democratic values and human rights, which can sometimes create friction or limit the scope of aid. Western military aid may also involve more stringent conditions, which can affect the timeliness and effectiveness of the support provided. Cultural and educational exchanges between China and Africa have seen remarkable growth, with numerous initiatives aimed at strengthening people-to-people connections. Chinese language programs, scholarships, and cultural festivals have become increasingly common, fostering mutual understanding and cooperation. This growing engagement contrasts with Western cultural exchange programs, which, while also beneficial, tend to be more sporadic and less integrated into broader diplomatic efforts. China's emphasis on educational exchange and cultural diplomacy has helped build a solid foundation for long-term relationships, making it a key component of its strategy in Africa. China has formed numerous strategic partnerships with African countries, which provide various benefits such as preferential trade terms, investments, and infrastructure development. These partnerships are often structured to align with China's broader geopolitical and economic interests, creating a mutually beneficial relationship. Western countries, on the other hand, often focus on strategic interests related to security and governance reforms. While these interests are important, they can sometimes lead to more complex and conditional partnerships. China's approach, with its focus on pragmatic benefits and cooperative projects, offers African nations a different kind of strategic alliance that aligns with their development goals. One of the key advantages of China's involvement in Africa is its competitive pricing for goods and services. Chinese companies often offer lower prices for construction projects, infrastructure development, and consumer products compared to Western counterparts. This cost-effectiveness is particularly appealing to African governments and businesses operating under tight budgets. In contrast, Western firms frequently charge higher prices due to more stringent quality standards and higher labor costs. While Western pricing can reflect superior quality or advanced technology, the lower costs of Chinese goods and services make them more accessible for many African countries, allowing them to achieve more with limited resources. China's ability to rapidly implement projects is another significant factor driving its appeal in Africa. Chinese construction firms and development agencies are known for their efficiency and speed, often completing large-scale projects in record time. For example, China's rapid construction of highways, bridges, and power plants stands in stark contrast to the slower pace typically associated with Western projects. Western projects often face delays due to complex regulatory requirements, extensive planning processes, and bureaucratic hurdles. China's streamlined approach enables faster delivery of essential infrastructure and services, which is crucial for African nations striving to meet urgent development needs. China's diplomatic approach to Africa emphasizes respect, mutual benefit, and non-interference. Chinese diplomats focus on building strong, personal relationships with African leaders and fostering long-term partnerships based on economic cooperation and development. This relationship building often involves high-level visits, joint ventures, and collaborative projects. In comparison, Western diplomatic efforts can be more complex and sometimes driven by broader geopolitical considerations or tied to conditions related to governance and human rights. While Western diplomacy aims to promote democratic values and reform, China's more straightforward and mutually beneficial approach tends to resonate better with African leaders who prioritize immediate development goals. China's use of soft power in Africa includes cultural exchanges, media influence, and educational initiatives designed to build positive perceptions and goodwill. By promoting Chinese culture through Confucius Institutes, media partnerships, and cultural events, China enhances its appeal and strengthens its influence across the continent. Western soft power strategies also focus on cultural diplomacy and education, but often come with political undertones or conditionalities. While both China and the West seek to influence perceptions through soft power, China's approach is typically less contentious and more focused on fostering a positive image through tangible benefits and cultural engagement. Looking ahead, the future of China-Africa relations appears promising, with continued growth in trade, investment, and cooperation. China's strategic initiatives, such as the Belt and Road Initiative, are expected to further integrate Africa into global trade networks and infrastructure development. In contrast, Western strategies may evolve to address the growing influence of China, potentially leading to increased competition and a re-evaluation of engagement approaches. Western countries may seek to enhance their own investments and diplomatic efforts in Africa, focusing on areas where they can offer distinct advantages. The evolving dynamics between China and the West will shape Africa's development landscape, with African leaders likely to continue leveraging their relationships with both sides to achieve their national goals. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful content on global politics and international relations. Leave your thoughts and comments below. What do you think about the growing influence of China in Africa? Let's continue the conversation.